Today was the first day of the preliminary hearing for probable cause in the Michael Jackson Dr. Conrad Murray case. I went down there very early, and at 8:15 there was to be a lottery where 5 people would be chosen to actually go into the courtroom, and I had one of the numbers. Actually, somebody who does a very good MJ impersonation. I mean, he really does. He also wears MJ's scent, and I wouldn't have known this. It was pointed out to me. So anyhow, I went up and asked him if I could smell him, and he actually had the perfume with him, and he sprayed it on me. And I gotta tell you, it's quite intoxicating. So anyhow, let's get on to serious business. So while the lottery was going on, Travis Payne actually showed up. He showed up, and he left. And now I'm just going to read this as I have it. Jackie, Catherine, LaToya Jackson were present. Judge Michael Pastor presided. The sound of keyboards tapping was annoying. That was from the media, typing down everything that was going on. First witness called was Kenny Ortega. And they talked about the rehearsals for This Is It began in the Burbank Center Stage's studio. As it got larger, it was moved to the Forum, and that was the beginning of June for about 3 weeks, and then it was moved to the Staples Center, which they rehearsed there for about a week. Kenny Ortega said that MJ was very excited about the This Is It tour, and he was talking about going to India and Japan, and excited about doing those things, intended to be a partner with Kenny Ortega in doing films after all that. They also talked about the people involved in the production of This Is It showing up at staggered times, different call times. You know, it might be the dancers, the band, the technical people, and then MJ can rehearse approximately 6 hours for approximately 4 nights a week. Then on June 19th, MJ showed up, not looking so good, chilled, and MJ sits in the audience and watches the choreographer, I'm assuming that was Travis Payne, fill in for MJ on the stage. And Kenny Ortega said this is the first time he was really concerned about MJ. So he asked MJ if he wants to leave, which he does. And the next day, June 20th, Kenny Ortega gets a call requesting his presence at MJ's house, shows up for a meeting, and there's Dr. Murray, Randy Phillips, Frank DeLeo, and MJ. Whereas he basically stated that he was scolded by Dr. Murray, and Dr. Murray tells him not to act like a doctor or psychologist, and for him to leave MJ's health to him. MJ says to Kenny Ortega, I know you love me, I'm going to take the reins, I can handle this. Then they have this long weekend off. They resume rehearsals on June 23rd, which is a fantastic rehearsal. MJ seems enthusiastic, he's energetic, he's excited. The 24th, the same thing. But on the 24th, you know, he's saying everybody's happy, and Michael goes to Kenny Ortega and says, thank everyone for their hard work. He loves them. Michael and Kenny Ortega was really excited because they were going to introduce a new illusion. On June 25th, they were going to introduce a new illusion. It gave me hope. Mr. Waldron or Walgren, he brings up that Dr. Murray gave MJ propofol every night for 2 months, and then on the night of the 24th, he gave MJ Valium, a little later lorazepam, a little later midazolam, a little later more lorazepam, a little later more midazolam, and then a little later propofol. And the point they were making was that MJ was dead before the paramedics arrived. Mr. Chernoff was the defense attorney, was trying to say that MJ wasn't well more often than just that June 19th, and did there seem to be concern from AEG? Kenny Ortega basically stayed with the fact that June 19th was the only time he was concerned, and yes, MJ had missed a series of rehearsals in 1 week, in the first week of June. They brought up the filming of This Is It. Kenny Ortega said that the interviews within This Is It were filmed for what would eventually be a theatrical release from the tour. But what we saw of This Is It, how they captured all the actual rehearsing, MJ rehearsing, that was filmed for MJ and Kenny Ortega to study to see what was working, what wasn't. It's similar, in my opinion, similar to dailies in the film business. The other two witnesses of the day, one was Michael Omer Williams, MJ's personal assistant. The other was Fahim Muhammad, who was the head of security. Most of the security were Security Measure. That's the name of the security company, Security Measure. And most of the staff, including these security people, were members of the Nation of Islam, including MJ's nanny, Rosalind Muhammad. Mr. Walgren points out that Murray had an 11-minute call that was made at 11:51. Then he called Michael Omer Williams at 12:12, who testifies later that he was in the shower, missed the call, which showed up on his cell phone at 12:13. Eventually talks to Alvarez, who's in the security trailer, which was, we saw a diagram of the house, right outside the front, kind of like, here's the front of the house and here's the kitchen door, and the trailer was in between them both. He goes in, he goes upstairs, he sees Murray working on Michael Jackson on the bed, and he says basically it was like a one-armed CPR type of situation going on, and he says that he's asked to hide pills and grab the IV bag, and then at 12:21 he's told he can call 911. The paramedics show up at 12:26, and according to them, MJ's dead. His eyes are fixed, dilated, wide open. His skin is cool to the touch, and it's called an asystole condition. They arrive at UCLA at 1:13. Emergency room doctors Cooper and Wynn, and Dr. Murray works on him till 2:26. Now, the paramedics already decided he was dead at 12:26. Michael Omer Williams, the personal assistant to MJ, stays by MJ, who is not in another room. The way it's worded is he's behind the curtain. He's behind the curtain. Is that the nurse kept coming out, shaking her head. By now, Frank DeLeo's there. Eventually, Dr. Murray and the other doctors come out and say he's dead. Michael Omer Williams, Frank DeLeo, and Dr. Murray go into the room where the children are with the nanny, and DeLeo blurted out, he died. And Murray is like, no, don't tell them like this. Mr. Walgren asks about a strange conversation that Michael Omer Williams had with Dr. Murray. He states that after MJ died, not immediately after, but maybe 20 minutes, he wasn't sure. He talks to him in the hallway, and he has to go. Dr. Murray asks, I need to get back to the house. I have to go hide cream that MJ wouldn't want to be found and made public. Williams goes to the driver, who is the head of security, Fahim Muhammad, and they're like, no way, we're not going to do this. So they lie to Dr. Murray and say the police took their keys. Then a little while later, Dr. Murray claims he's hungry and he wants to go get something to eat. Michael O'Mara Williams says, "We can't take you," when Fahim Muhammad says to him, "There's a cafeteria." And then Fahim Muhammad basically said, he came up to him a third time saying he's tired and needs to leave. And basically he says, "I can't take you." So then a little while after that, that's when he sees Dr. Murray leave. He talks about Dr. Tomei's security team replacing them, but I'm confused as to when or why that happened. And they bring up Mike LaPerouse being at the hospital. I actually used to work with Mike LaPerouse. Fahim Muhammad, who's the head of security, he had worked for MJ for 10 months, claims when he went into the bedroom, Dr. Murray was on his knees doing something and was in a panic state. He describes MJ as eyes open, mouth open, didn't appear to be alive. He hears Murray ask, "Does anyone here know CPR?" Then we took a break, and when we came back from the break, the defense was actually kind of alluding to the reason why that question was asked by Dr. Murray is it possible that he wanted help? He wanted somebody to take over doing the CPR so he could go do something else, or he just needed help with it. When is the way it was stated by Fahim Muhammad, it was more of the doctor didn't know what he was doing. The cardiologist didn't know how to perform CPR. Somewhere in the interrogation of Muhammad, it's asked, "You didn't stop somewhere? You didn't get a Diet Coke at 7-Eleven?" An illusion was planned for June 25th.